Hi, can you hear me?
Testy.
That's Stickles.
Testicle 1, 2.
We're just here to talk about like shits and gigs.
Yeah.
We're going to swear a lot. We'll probably be drinking a lot. Wine thing is so played up. There's only so
The
many
buzzed
things.
besties.
Ooh, you are buzzed. Buzzed besties.
Buzzed besties. Like, who are these hood rats?
We are cool and you want to be our best friends, okay?
Welcome to the Sips and Gigs podcast. Here's your hosts, Nikki Intonman and Steph Joplin.
Yellow. Every time we get back on here, people are like, wait, what's happening? Where have you guys been? And I'm like, guys, let's touch and go here for the moment. I almost forgot to put my microphone over to my face. Hopefully everybody could hear me.
We promised ourselves that we were going to be consistent in July.
We promised ourselves we were going to do a lot of things in 2023, and we haven't done squat. Remember when I said this was going to be my healthiest pregnancy ever? And I just ate McDonald's for lunch.
You remember when I said that all my kids would be potty trained before summer started?
You did. As I was looking at you like, dang it, she's going to get all this shit done before I do. And then I was dreading having to potty train. And look, I started before you. Did you start already?
We started. This is the problem, is it's not Brooks. He's ready. It is me. I am not ready to commit to like staying in the house. We have shit to do. Like our older two kids are on activities. School just started back up. So you
waited too long.
I know.
Should have done it right before school.
I know, but he is like, he's starting to get it. We're struggling with the pooping situation a little bit, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah, we basically were like, we're going to start. Grant is not. I don't think he's not as ready as Winston was. So we're like, we're going to at least get it going. So it's going to be a long, slow process, I feel like. But luckily, we have somebody here today who will help us out.
And we are so like, listen to Steph. I feel like usually we have so much energy. Can you tell how defeated we are right now?
It's a lot.
It is, but we have such an incredible guest. We have Melissa Marcus here. She is a teacher and a mom. I started following her. She is behind the Kindergarten Mom, and she gives such great information, just kind of providing not only parents, but teachers on everyday activities when it comes to children at home, but also how intense and complex it can be to transition into kindergarten. She's going to talk to us a little bit about that, as well as, thank the Lord, the potty training aspect. She's going to give us some tips and tricks with that as well. So Melissa, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, so I am the kindergarten mom, and I started this account really only a year ago because my son was going to kindergarten. I'm from Canada. So in Canada, we start kindergarten and they have to be 4 by the time December comes around. So they're really little. And I just realized, like they're babies. Yeah.
I mean, they're still like punching and biting and kicking and screaming at that age. Yeah. That's a lot for a 4-year-old to do, is to go to an actual like school.
Yeah. And be fully toilet trained, wipe their own butt. Like there's a lot of to-dos. So I just realized when my son was going to kindergarten that as a teacher, kindergarten teacher, I knew what to expect. But as a parent, I just realized there's so much out there that parents don't know. And so I started this account, The Kindergarten Mom. I put this crash course on called the Kindergarten Crash Course in the summertime to just give parents every single piece of information possible to help them prepare mentally, emotionally, and to help their children prepare. Because as parents, we have so many concerns and worries for our kids. So that can definitely trickle down to them. So I'm so happy you have me on today because obviously kindergarten is so prevalent. So many people are going through this transition now, it's a huge milestone that they accomplish, but also toilet training. My daughter, my almost 2.5-year-old, also toilet training her now. And it is the shit. And not a good way.
Literally the shit.
Probably, this is going to show how ignorant I am about Canada. But if they start at 4, do you guys graduate at like 16 high school, or do you like repeat kindergarten twice, or how does that work?
It's a 2-year process. Good question. So we have junior kindergarten and senior kindergarten. So it's 2 years.
So it still evens out to where you're graduating high school at the same time.
Yes, but it is a 2-year process. It's not mandatory required, but more often than not, people send their kids to kindergarten. But yeah, it's 2 years. It's a 2-year process. So it's the same in the end.
So I guess that's like more normal because people here in the US where we do pre-K and then kindergarten,
Right.
it's kind of this. Okay.
Universal kindergarten, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a little different than Canada, but the concepts are the same. Like getting ready is the same. It's just different ages.
Also, bless your soul. So Steph's oldest just went to kindergarten. My daughter is now in first grade, so she was there last year, and then my middle is in kindergarten this year. There is something different about a kindergarten teacher. Like literally, bless your soul. Are you teaching your son?
Is he in my class? No.
Okay.
It's like
that would be tough.
A special breed of people. I mean, I'm one of them, but it's just, and that's the thing is, as concerned as we might be as parents, like those teachers really are in kindergarten because they want to be there. Like, if you teach, and I remember I did my master's in child study and education, and one of my professors said, if you teach kindergarten, you can teach any grade. Like, because it's just, you have so much going on. But yeah, so we'll go through all of that, like the transition and toileting and all the fun stuff.
Bless.
Yeah, where do you want to, should we start with the young little shitters, like how we get them little turds ready for the potty? I think let's start with the younger kids because if you don't have any kids and you're like, wait, I just want to know about potty training, like I got to get them ready. Mine, I'm trying to potty train Grant, because I'm having this second baby, or this third baby, second baby, having this third baby in just a couple weeks, probably. And he also can't move up in his daycare class until he's potty trained. And they were like, it's just him and another kid. So I'm feeling pressure also to potty train him, where they're like, he can't move up. And I'm like, shit, okay, let's get this going.
How old is he?
He'll be 3 in October.
Right. So, okay. So my oldest, who's 5 now, I was the same. I potty trained him when I was pregnant with my daughter. It was in like the dead of winter, which was brutal on its own because you can't go anywhere, do anything, leave the house, like even go to the backyard or whatnot. And I just remember it was hell. Like it was literally hell watching him like a hawk. And I did this method called the oh crap method, where it's a 3-step method. And it worked for him and he was successful. And then I did it with my daughter, and with toilet training, like with this account, I started posting just kind of tips and tricks that I've been doing that have been helpful, because it's not really intuitive, right? Like we know how to use a toilet, but to teach how to use a toilet or the potty is a whole other level. So I'll go through kind of like what I did with my children, what was successful. And again, like there's not one way of doing it. But this was successful for both my kids for sure, but it's hell. Like it there's no, beating around the bush. It really is not fun. But it has to be done. So following around
a small human waiting until they have to go pee or poop is not like nobody wants to do that. And then also like this one thing, and as you guys are listening to this too, if you're getting frustrated or if you're like, oh, I've tried all of this stuff maybe before. Somebody sent me a message when I was potty training Winston too, and they were like, hey, my kid's 16 and he knows how to shit and piss in the toilet. So just letting you know, they figure it out eventually. Like they're not going to be like peeing their pants until when they're 35. I'm like, okay, well that helps me feel a little bit better.
No, for sure. And that's the thing. It's not like a one-track program where it's like, okay, you do it for 3 days and then they're good to go.
Yeah.
I was with my daughter the other day. We're at the park and she had to poo. And I was like, okay. So I was squatting with her. And I mean, I don't know if it's illegal or not, but like squatting with her in the grass to get her to poo. I'm like, at least it's out now. I don't have to worry about her whole thing getting constipated. But like, that's not fun.
Yeah, I don't know what's legal. If like a cop drives by and they're like, excuse me, you're like, she's 3, she's 2, leave us alone. I got a doggy bag. Clean it up.
No judgment. Parents were like, yeah, we get it. Just keep doing you. So, okay. So biggest thing I have to say about potty training, and again, in Canada, we say things a bit different. Like I'll say like washroom or bathroom. I know it's kind of a no-no. Just say, no, we don't say that. Um, but biggest thing is consistency. Like you're not sort of pregnant. You're not sort of toilet training your child. Like you're just going to do it. If you're doing it, rip off the Band-Aid. That means no diapers. I remember I had one of my followers messaged me saying, yeah, like my child can use a toilet, but she also goes in her diaper during the day. And no, like if you're going to do it, just do it. So the biggest thing that I do with my child is I get them prepared the couple days before. So I was saying, oh, you're not going to be a big girl like mommy. I go on the toilet and, your older brother Sam uses a toilet and, diapers. For me personally, I like sleep too much. I didn't do nighttime training. So I'll say, diapers are only for nighttime, only for nap time. But during the day, we're going to be a big kid and use a toilet. I also, again, personal preference. I don't like the potty. It grosses me out. I don't want to clean it. That's my personal preference. They can be way more independent if they use it. So if you're using it, kudos to you. But for me, I just like the little toilet seat on the toilet.
Yeah. Like the thing that makes the booty size smaller.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I ain't cleaning out your shit from a whole separate entity. No.
I saw these people like the kid would like take their little potty and like dump it out. I'm like, oh, what if they like spill it? And I don't know. That's just not for me. To each their own. If you're doing it, great. I don't. But anyway, so the first day, so before we started, I would talk to her about, you're going to use a toilet like a big girl and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Then we start the day. She wakes up and I get her excited. Oh, today's the day. And the thing is, you want to be excited. You want to hype it up as if it's like your birthday. You want to make it so exciting for them because even though we hate it and it's so daunting for us, we want them to be feeding off of our energy. So I'm so excited. Today you're going to use the toilet like mommy. And this is what, kind of get them excited for the whole transition. So the first day, the potty training method I used called Oh Crap by Jamie Glowacki. She has a whole book, super easy to read. Basically, she says the first day, completely naked. So no clothing at all. Yeah, because the whole thing is you want to look for their cues. You want to look for them like fidgeting or wiggling or whatnot. My daughter didn't want to do that. She was like already so put off by not having her comfort of her diaper, which she's had since she was born. So she wanted a nightgown. That's who she is. She likes to wear dresses and nightgowns. So she wanted to wear her little nightie. And so I said, okay, so I let her wear it. And then I just watched her like a hawk. I had all of these different activities out just because I'm a teacher and I'm like, I just want her to be busy and not watch TV and passively pee. So I had like all these different activities set out for her. We were playing together and then she leaves the room. She goes into the hallway and I follow her and I see a drop, like literally like a dime-sized drop of pee on the ground. Oh, it's ready. We're ready to use a toilet. Let's go. Not saying, oh, you peed on the floor. How could you? Like, no, we want to look at what they're doing, not harp on if they have accidents, but kind of acknowledge it and use it as a teaching tool to say, oh, you're ready to make a pee-pee, or I say pishy. I said, let's go. I lift her up. I take her to the toilet and she pees. And
Pishy?
Yeah.
A pishy?
I want to call it a pishy.
A pishy. Are you ready for a pishy?
Pishy. So she said, so we take her to the toilet, she pees, thankfully, and I praise her in a way where she feels ownership over the praise. I know there's people out there like, you shouldn't praise children. It's giving them this blah, blah, blah. I think, listen, if you do a good job in my eyes, you want to be rewarded for it. So I say how proud I am of her, how proud she should be of herself for doing this. You did it. Hooray. Whatever. Go on with her day. Oh yeah. Lots of liquids first. If you're starting toilet training, load them up. Like not to the point where like they're drinking and peeing at the same time because they're so full, but give them more fluids than normal.
Right. You want the most practice all these times. Like you want them to feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, my daughter is so stubborn. I don't know if it's a girl thing, but oh my gosh, she is so stubborn. If she doesn't want to do something, she doesn't want to do it. So if I say to her, do you want to use the toilet? She'll say no until she actually has to go. So yeah, first day, no clothes or just a shirt. So you can see them.
What about nap time?
So I put a diaper on her during nap time. Again, like I said before, I want her to sleep. I want to get my sleep at nighttime. That's me. With my son, when I did the same thing, I waited till his diapers, his pull-ups were dry. And then I said to him, okay, I think you're ready to go through the night without, peeing, or come to mommy if you need to pee during the night. And he was fine. No issues. But it also can come to be a little bit of a barrier, right? So if they're using their diapers or their pull-ups during naps or nighttime, they're most comfortable. They're going to want to pee and maybe poo possibly during those times. So if you find that your child's only pooing and only peeing in their diaper at night or nap time, then you might want to reconsider really all. But
they're smart little cookies. They're like, ooh, I don't need to poo right now. I'll just wait till nap time when I get the diaper on. Then I'll shit.
But wait a couple weeks. Don't, it's so new.
Yeah.
So if you find that they are pooing their diaper, don't feel the need to rip it off right away if you still want to have them wear it during nap time and nighttime. But if it's like a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, where they're pooing in their diaper only, then you might want to consider taking that off. But yeah, so that's day 2 is they can wear a shirt. Again, no bottoms, but just monitor them always. Like that's the hardest thing I found is watching. My kids can play independently, which is such a blessing. But when you're toilet training, you can't let them play independently. I can't be on my computer or doing something, going to the kitchen. I have to be on her at all times, watching her. And that's the hardest part I find.
Yeah. That's the 3 days or however long. It's like, I'm just staring at his little pee-pee as he's just walking around the house doing things. And I'm like, this is so awkward. I get to know you so well. But yeah, it's like, come with me and play in the kitchen while we do dinner. And then you're like cooking. And also by the end of the day, you're like, I can take a break. And then that's when he would have an accident. I'm like, dang it, we missed it because I took my eyes off him for I was like, I'm tired.
I think it's a struggle, and it's probably just an excuse. Right before we hopped on, I was like, it's Brooks is ready. It's me needing to be consistent is with him being our third. My other 2 are involved in, activities. I have to pick them up from school and drop them off from school. So it's like, you make that commitment. Do you stick with the undies and see what happens and they piss in your car, or do you put them in a pull up and then it's the confusion all over again? Do you do it on a weekend maybe when my husband's home and can help? I don't know. We're we have been doing it actually pretty hardcore this week, and he's done great. But it's like, you still, as a parent, right, you have life goes on too. So I think I struggle with that.
100%. When you have more than one child, it's like, I'm the same way. My son's done all these activities. So my daughter was home for a week. My son was still at his camp. And I was like, it's now or never. That's really why I did it. I would have done it on a weekend otherwise. But it's also I'm a teacher, so I have the summer off. My husband doesn't get time off. So for me to use that as a weekend, maybe I'm just a good wife, but I don't want to use that long weekend for him to have to be home. Or he would probably just take Sammy out if I was home. You can, make whatever works for your family. There's not one way of doing it, but the biggest thing is be consistent. But so my son, for instance, he was at day camp. So I was with her home all day, staring at her. Just watching her. And then when we went to go pick him up from camp, same thing. I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And thankfully she didn't have any accidents in the car. I also buy these, I got them off of Amazon. They're seat protectors for the car seat. So if they do have an accident, it'll just protect your car seat.
I need those just in general with how messy my that sounds amazing.
They sell them in bulk on Amazon. They're like the puppy pads or something. Or when you have a baby and they put those things underneath you so you don't leak everything through to the
puppy
hospital
pads,
bed. Yeah.
Dollar store.
I have a pack left. I have a ton left over from Winston, and I was like, oh, these are perfect. Yeah, but perfect. I made them. We were like, hey, we got to go. We went to go check out the new house. We're building a house. So I was like, okay, I would prefer to just stay home all day for our second day with him. But we were like, let's go on a field trip. We'll put some shorts on him. No undies. And then as soon as we got there, he peed. He was marking his territory in the new house, already peed his pants. And I was like, okay, well, accident. Oh no. But
right.
You kind of just move on. I was like, well, we're not leaving right now. So you're going to have to sit in those pee pants for a little while. Sorry, but
you'll survive. You'll live. Yeah. So that's the thing is day 2 is again, no bottoms, a shirt, monitor. Day 3 is like, okay, outings, here we go, real life. And it's not to say day 3 or day 2, but the stage. Like if they're still having accidents nonstop, you're not getting their cues, they're not really getting it, don't move on to the next stage. Just wait until they accomplish the first step, second step to the third. I do by days, but it's not really by days, it's just by stages. And then they say the method I use says like, no, like go commando for a month. It's so funny because I have friends, almost 95% of my friends have done the same method. And once I mentioned it to them, they said, yeah, we've done this before. It's totally fine. There are some people who don't agree with it, which is totally fine. Again, to each their own, but they put their children in underwear during potty training. And there's the confusion there because they feel like it's a diaper. So then they're having, they're pooing in their underwear, they're peeing in their underwear. And it's hard to, really monitor that. And if your child's in a preschool or a daycare program, mine is, and I just told her staff members that we totally trained and she's not wearing underwear, but my daughter loves dresses, right? So
wait, okay, I'm the problem because we've made underwear a big deal. Like it's exciting because we have Spider-Man underwear and we have Hulk and now he's excited to put on the underwear.
Right.
But you're saying like go naked, and if you're taking them to school, just put some shorts on him, but no underwear.
Yes, but one of my other followers said to me that she made a huge deal about the underwear and how she said to her daughter, you don't want to get your pretty underwear dirty, like your princess, whatever, underwear dirty. And that worked for her daughter.
Right. Like they take some ownership of like, oh, wait, I don't want to pee in my Spider-Man. I don't want to pee on Spider-Man. I got to keep him clean. So, hey, lady, I got to go pee.
Right.
So it could work in your benefit.
It could work. It just depends on your kid, right? Like every kid is different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have my daughter loves Baby Shark. Like,
oh, good.
I can't.
I love Baby Shark.
Drives me nuts. It's like I love Baby Shark. Like Baby Shark, Band-Aids,
everything.
And so anyway, so I have Baby Shark underwear for her, but I'm not going to give it to her until but she's good at peeing now. Like I really could put her underwear now. I think I could, but just going to stick to this method because it did work for me in the past. But yeah, so they say like go to outings, go do outings, go live your normal life, and your child will have to advocate for themselves when they have to go pee or poo. And I remember I took her to Walmart. And it's just so stressful. Like you're like, oh, I can't run errands for hours with my kids on. And it's like, you have a short time frame. And we were at Walmart and we're in the toy section, which was thankfully right by the washroom. Do you say bathroom, washroom? What do you say?
You say bathroom. Restroom.
Whatever.
You can say whatever you want.
Right by the bathroom. And she said, I had to pee. I'm like, hold that. So I rushed her and I have this little portable folding potty. Take it out of the bag. It's disgusting. Yeah.
I need that. I was going to say, what do you do in public? Because I will just like squat with them and like hold them up over the big potty, hold their waist because it's like, and then I'm like pushing on the penis because we don't have like the walker. I'm like,
they have the penis protector on them.
Yeah.
I'll send you what I bought. It's basically, I got her Baby Shark, of course, but it's a folding toilet. I don't have one down here yet. But it's in like its own little plastic container. You take it out and put it on the toilet. It's so gross when you think about it, like, ugh, but whatever, it's fine. And she went. And the thing is, she also was withholding a little bit. So she'd pee a little bit and we go back to the toy section, which luckily we were there for a long time. And then she said, I have to pee again, like holding her vagina. I'm like, okay, let's go. And so she gets it. But it's funny because we were going up north. And we were on the highway and I didn't put her in a pull up. And I was thinking like, okay, like hopefully she can do it. And we were on the highway. She said she had to pee. And we pulled over to Harvey's, a stop area, and she held it. So I don't know. You just try to live your life. They're going to get it. It will take time. But like I said before, with pooing, like she had to poo in the park and it just is what it is. So the biggest thing is try to keep your eyes on them for at least the 3 days, if not, again, like how long that process takes, and then go on with normal life and just pack extra clothes, pack the toilet seat. I had a podcast with the author of Oh Crap this week, and she was kind of saying no to me about not using the little potty because it takes away their independence. But she said, if you bring a travel one, they have these travel ones that kind of stand up and you can put a bag underneath. And that way, if you're in the park or on the side of the highway, you put it down, then they can go, and then it goes in a bag, and then you toss the bag out. So I actually just bought that too.
Steph was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that, I mean, my husband's like, oh, I don't want that in the car. I was like, we're having it in the car. Like actually squatting with her.
Yeah, it's way like I would rather pull out a little miniature potty out of the car than poop in the playground.
Or like completely shit down their leg, because if they're going commando, like there's nothing
nothing's catching that.
No. So no. I'm here for participation pooping.
Yeah.
I think it's I was telling my husband last night, I was like, potty training is so funny to me because every mom gets so damn excited to like wipe an ass. We're all like, yeah, like just the emotion is overjoyed. And I'm like, I don't ever want to wipe another butthole in my entire life. Like I cannot handle this. Like baby Brooks, hopefully, fingers crossed, is our last baby. And I'm like, I'm ready to move on to the next stage, but it's me needing to get over this hump. So maybe we'll try.
You should be on it. You should be you should be preemptively potty training him because you're like ready to be done.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling Bailey. I was like, I probably won't even like it. I'll start him at like 2 because I'll be like, I'm getting done wiping buttholes as soon as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, rip that.
Come on, Nikki, let's go.
Like, I know. It's so hard on us as parents. It's like the last thing you want to do. And then the funny part is like, I spent like 3 days doing this and my husband comes home and she likes this. He's like, oh, she's going. Like, she has to go. Like, look for her cues. Like,
yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. So like we struggle. Our struggle now is that daycare, they're like, no, this is great. We can work with you, but like he needs to come in a pull up. So they're not there because I told them, I'm like, he's not telling me that he has to go potty. Like I'm looking at him and I see his cues and I'm like, hey, we got to go potty, right? And he's like, okay, yeah. But he's not coming up to me. He's still not past that first stage of just like being able to be naked. Right. Where he's getting it and he's like, let me go to the bathroom on my own or let me tell my mom that I have to go potty. Like I told the daycare ladies, I was like, there's no way that you can sit there and have eyes on my child, just my kid all day long. And they were like, yes, no, like send him we'll set him on there routinely, just like we do with all the other kids, but he needs to come in a pull up. So it kind of goes like he right now is in this limbo stage where he comes home and then the pull up comes off and he's naked and we're doing all this stuff when he's here at home. But yeah, like at daycare, and they'll put down there, like he pottied in the potty, but I don't know if he's having accidents in his like pull up as well, or if he's not. So it's kind of tough when you, like you said, even when your husband takes over and you're like, wait, you got to watch this and you got to know this. Like trying to do it with somebody else is tough, but not every mom can sit there with their kid for 3 days, 4 days, a month, a week, and just one-on-one activities all the time.
Of course, nor do they want to, right? Like
no, yeah.
Not fun, but it gets tricky when it comes to someone else taking care of your kid, like when they're going to daycare or preschool. I mean, you want to have that relationship with the people taking care of your kid, but I also would advocate heavily. Like, I think it might just delay but then he's in that next class, right? Like you were saying how in order for him to go to the next level, he had to be able to be potty trained. Right?
Yeah. So they're they understand. But I just told them, I was like, you guys might, I mean, I think I might have even scared them a little bit to being like, I don't know if he's ready to come just like, free balling because he might shit down his leg and you guys might be cleaning up a whole bunch of poop all day long, poop and pee. But I don't know. So maybe, and like I said, with them, maybe we can just be like, hey, let's try one day where I send him in undies and let's see how the day goes. And if you guys are like, he's so not ready, then we can go back to the pull up and like constantly putting him on the toilet because we kind of did go from like 0 to 60. He had no interest in the toilet and never even wanted to go in there when his older brother was peeing. And he's like, nope, I don't care. I got these things on. They catch everything. They're wonderful. They're called diapers. I don't care about anything else. I'll wear them the rest of my life. So him like getting him excited. He was like, I don't know what you're getting excited for, lady. Like, I don't care. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
No, and that's the thing is my son too, like did not care to do it. And he was not nearly as verbal as my daughter in terms of like telling me his needs.
Yeah.
So it was like a whole other issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just say to them, like, can we try it? I worked with him at home and he might just surprise you, right? Like
Yeah.
I would just tell them, I would try to be consistent if they can be consistent, because that'll just help speed up the whole process.
Yeah. So we have consistency. We have like positive reinforcement. Go naked, free ball for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not so much the 3 days. It's like, it's almost like that 3-step process, however long your child takes, because everybody's like, mine got it in 3 days. Mine got it in 2. And mine's like, there's people who are like, mine got it in like a week or a month, or we're still slowly working through these stages. But I like the idea of talking about it in stages versus like the 3-day potty training method. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, the 3 stages. So naked, a shirt on, and then commando, but still have clothes on and go do your daily.
Yeah, we call it free balling in the Joplin household because we just have boys. So, and Winston now as a 5-year-old, he's like, "Can I free ball to kindergarten?" I'm like, "No, no, sorry,
do not use that word to your teacher."
You can't go without any underwear, and you can't talk about it.
Anyways, yes, that's that. And I actually made this potty chart that I have on my account, The Kindergarten Mom, where I just give it to parents for free. You just download it, you print it off, and basically some people are against reward charts, but for me, it's that visual reward. Not necessarily you get a toy at the end, but it's like, oh, I did this, I accomplished this, I get a sticker or a stamp or whatnot. Yeah. So basically, it's just I think I put 5 steps. So one is I sat on the toilet, which again, some kids are resistant to doing. So if they even just sit and do nothing, they get a sticker for that. If they made a pee, they get a sticker. If they made a poo, they get a sticker. And then if they wash their hands, they get a sticker. And it's not a day. It's not like a weekly chart. It's just like blank. It's like just a grid.
Like to count how many times you've done each. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like, okay, Monday you did this many times. It's just a grid. And my son loved it. I have a Paw Patrol one and a Baby Shark just because that's what they're interested in. People DM me saying they want personalized ones, what I do also. If just message me, I can do that for a little bit of a charge just because it does take time. But they're, easily accessible. And my son loved it. My daughter doesn't care for it. Not one interest, which is fine. Yeah. I have it there if she wants it. If not, no.
Well,
yes.
Brooks is
I was just doing after though.
Is that bad? Every time like he'll go pee or poop on the toilet, I do give him like an M&M. My boys have always been like, they love it. They're like, I did it. So proud. Can I have an M&M? And I'll just give them 1 and you get 2 if you go poop and like that. And then they're good. They don't ask for more. Like he understands that it's
honestly, there's zero judgment. Like whatever works for your kid. I'm all about bribery. Whatever works for your kid, if it works and it's successful, like who's to say that's right or wrong, right? So
M&M's forever. Like,
Winston was like, stars. I want to see my progress on a chart and I want to see how cool I am. And I got all these stickers. Grant's like, yeah, you can throw one up there. I don't care. I'm like, I'm piecing out. He's like, wait, didn't you say something about M&Ms? If I did where are those at? He honestly is like out the door by the time he's like, yay, I did it. Okay, get the F out of my way. Like I was watching a show. I'm playing.
Yeah. The best thing is you can also, with the chart, do it after you've done the stages, like not while you're doing it. I mean, I do it after with my son as like a continuation for motivation. My daughter, I did it during, but she didn't care for it. So I just suggest after you've done it.
To keep going.
Yeah. Well, now we have, so Steph's oldest went to kindergarten. And like I said, Jack, my middle, went to kindergarten. I don't know why. I feel like maybe it's the first baby, everyone really struggles with. I really struggled with Jack going more than Paisley. I think it's because she is more like socially, like Jack is very social, but Paisley's like student body president at 5. Like she just is so engulfed with like friendships, and Jay is more reserved. So that it just made me more nervous for him making friends and enjoying the classroom and actually wanting to continue to stay. Plus, it was his very first time going to school full time. So I think that was a big hiccup for me. So what is it? Who has the harder time? Is it the kids or is it the parents when it comes to
Who needs all the prep work? Yeah.
Parents. It's we just carry the burden always, right? Like no matter what the stage is, we're always just worried about ultimately like what could go wrong. So I would say it's the parents. That's why I do the crash course for the parents, not for the kids.
Yeah.
Just kind of prepare them mentally. But yeah. But no, I get it. And every kid is different, right? And
every school is different too. So it's kind of like you as a parent, you're like, there's a whole new set of rules. This is a whole different ball game. Like it's kind of intimidating when you go into something where there's like people who have done this before and they all know what they're doing and they walk in, they're like, oh, hey, we know our way around the school. And I'm like, I've never been here before. I don't know what I'm doing. What's acceptable behavior? Is my kid weird? Like you just go through all this stuff.
For sure. And that's the thing is the biggest thing that I can recommend to parents is, like I said, with toilet training, hype it up, right? Whenever you talk about kindergarten to your child, make them know that you're excited about it. Talk about how you went to kindergarten as a kid and you had the best time and they're going to make so many new friends and play with so many different toys and do so much learning. And the teacher's going to be so nice, and just kind of give them that insight of safety. You know what to expect and you're so excited for them, and then they are going to internalize that. If your child's going to a new school where it's a new environment, they haven't been there before, take them there one day. I mean, your kids have already started, but if children haven't started yet, you can take the child to the school, even just to take a walk around the playground. There's always like a kindergarten area designated for the little ones. And so you can say, oh, this is going to be where you play outdoors, and maybe you're going to line up here, and give them that familiarity with the environment. If your child is being bused, hype up the bus. My son was bused to camp. He was at a day camp that was about 40 minutes away from where we live. And he had to take a bus last year. He was just turned 4. He was really little. And I would say every time we saw a school bus, maybe that's going to be your school bus for camp. I talked about, Magic School Bus, the show, Miss Frizzled.
Oh,
just
good.
Kind of up as much as you can. And to make them excited for that transition. And then also get them ready with their belongings, get them a backpack, go with them to get them a backpack that's big enough to fit everything. So every school is different, but most schools do not provide lunches. So you have to provide it, which is again, another thing that I don't love doing, but get them a lunchbox with the label everything, water bottle, change of clothes. So sure, depending on where we live, but it gets colder here in September, but long pants, t-shirts, long sleeves, socks, underwear, label everything, put in a Ziploc bag with their name on it, because when your child goes to kindergarten, they'll have a cubby, or there'll be a bin of extra clothes, and you want to make sure that your stuff is not getting mixed up with another child's. Label everything, put in their backpack. Everything needs to fit in this backpack. You don't want them having 5 different bags that they're going to lose or misplace. Again, they're so little, at least in, where we are, there are 3, some of them. And it's like this massive shell on their back.
Yeah.
But they're not carrying it for very long. They're just to and from their class. You want to make sure everything fits in there. Indoor shoes, depending on if the teacher wants. That teacher will give you all the information. But really for the first day of school, extra clothes labeled, their lunchbox, stuff that they like to eat, that that they like to eat. So don't make this gourmet meal that they've never touched before. My son went through a whole phase of snacks for lunch. Like all he wanted was snack food. So I had flatbread or crackers and cheese because that was a snack to him. But he also wanted crunchy foods only. Like what?
And that's all Winston has eaten for the last 5 years of his life. Charcuterie for lunch. I'm like, can we just put a sandwich together? Like this is all the makings of a sandwich. Can you just eat it tammed sandwich? And he's like, no. Crackers separately, meat separately. I want it to look like a Lunchable when I open it up. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah. So, and if the food, the thing I learned as a parent of my kid going to kindergarten is there's going to be days where the lunchbox is empty from top to bottom. And there are days where it is full. Like they haven't even sniffed it, and they'll survive. They're not going to starve. They're not going to faint. They're going to be okay. And just know, as parents, as adults, some days we're starving and we cannot eat enough, and other days we're not really that hungry. I mean, I'm always hungry, so it's not for me, but our appetite goes up and down. So definitely pack foods that they're interested in, and a variety of foods. So don't just give them one thing, give them many different small things that they can kind of nush on and snack on.
One thing that I'm realizing with the first week, not only with my kindergartner, but in general, is how big our emotions are the first week of school. Like, I mean, crying over things like a hangnail, or
like when they get back home and stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
You were him. Yeah. I was gonna say
I was like, wait, are you?
not me. But like kids, like they will get, my kids ride the bus. I pick them up and our emotions are so big. They haven't seen each other all day and they're at each other's throats. So I think if you have any like advice, maybe as a teacher and a mom, of just navigating like how to stay calm and supportive during those, I want to be like, guys, enough, cut it out. You guys haven't seen each other all day. What are you doing?
I know. I went through this at the end of the year with my son last year, where I would finish work, I'd go pick him up, and I'd be so excited to see him after a full day of him being in school, me being in school, and he would be a flippin' misery, like whining and crying and just cranky. I'm like, and I would get really upset at the beginning. So I was like, I haven't seen you all day. I want to see how your day is, and you're just so cranky. And once I realized as a teacher, put my teacher brain on, like, he has so much expected of him throughout the day. He's expected to be in a structured routine, new things learning every single day. He has to do the right thing. If he doesn't do the right thing, he's going to be told to do the right thing. He has to socialize with all these new people. It's so overwhelming and so overstimulating. And once I realized that he is constantly doing things all day long, he doesn't get a break for himself. Think about us after a day of work. Like, we're exhausted. We go home, we just want to craft. So for them, it's even more so because developmentally, they're not advanced, right? So once I realized, like, okay, he just needs me. I'm his safe space. He needs to unload on me in order to just calm himself down. It was like a game changer. And I have a friend who's a behavioral specialist. And I did this seminar with her. Like, we just put it on for free for parents, called the After School Struggle, because I was saying to her, like, I must not be the only one. Like, there must be other kids out there who are just miseries after school. And I have that also in my crash course too, and on my account. But basically, my biggest thing is, you see them after school, give them a snack right away. Like, they're hungry. Even if they had food the whole day, they're most likely hungry. Bring a snack at pickup every day, give it to them. And I'd always say to him, even after a snack, if he wasn't calm and he was still kind of agitated, I'd say to him, do you need a hug? Because sometimes he doesn't want to talk to me. He just wants to be upset. I said, do you need a hug? 100% of the time he says yes. That's my child. He's physical.
I love that.
I give him a hug and he would kind of like melt in my arms. And I would say to him, I know you're upset. I can tell you're frustrated. When you're ready, mommy's here to talk. So giving him that comfort, like, you can, and I would say to him, it's okay to cry. You need to cry, get it out. As like irking as it is for us to like hear the whining and the crying, he needs to get it out. And I would just kind of like tune it out, let him get it out. My daughter be like, she's so bubbly and happy, complete opposite. And like, why? She calls him Mammy. She can't say Sammy. Why Mammy crying? I'm like, my child needs to cry. So I said, you cry, get it out. You let me know when you're ready, and we can talk about what's upsetting you or what's bothering you. And he'd have a great day every day. His teacher say, I had a great day at school. He had the best time. He played with this, blah, blah. But he just needed that unloading time. So it's okay if you cry, give them a hug, talk to them after it. And after a while, it stopped. It was just developmental. It's a lot. And that's the thing is, I remember I have kindergarten kids that come into my class, and the first day, great. Second day, great. Third day, like, oh, I'm here again. Like, you don't expect to be there every day. So it's all so hard on them. But as teachers, we don't deal with it. Like, I say bye to my students, they go home. I don't deal with that struggle. But as parents, we deal with it every single day. So it's normal, totally normal. Give them a hug, give them a snack. And I give him choices. So I say to him, if we don't have a program after school, I'll say to him, okay, you're going to have a snack in the car. Let him know what's coming up. You're having a snack in the car. We're going to go home. When we go home, do you want to play with your Legos? Do you want to have some TV time? Give them that ownership of control, because they have no control really over the day. they get to choose something here and there, whatever center activity they wanted to choose, but it's pretty much all laid out for them. Whereas at home, you give them that choice, those options, and then let them kind of take ownership over their life, which they don't really have that responsibility.
Luckily, I guess we got lucky that Winston was so verbal after like the first 2 days. I could tell that he was drained, and I thought maybe it was because like he was going to daycare before. So it's not so much like the social or being away from us that was different for him, because he was used to that. Right. It was the fact that he was like, we aren't playing, we're learning. So I don't just get to go play with all my friends all day long. I am forced to learn. I don't get like a nap. I was trying to get him out of naps, out of daycare, and they're like, no, we don't do that. So he was going from that to like a full day of no nap taking, no quiet time. Yeah. And then he literally told me, he's like, Mom, we learn all day. And I was like, okay, so I'm taking this as a cue. Like he's telling me like, this was tough. And then he's like, and I'm starving. So I was like, okay, snack. Yeah. I'm starving. And then you could tell he just didn't want to explain his day until he was ready. So I was like, we don't need to ask him about anything like, what'd you do today? What was it? Who'd you meet? What are your new friends' name? He's like, give me a second to decompress.
Right.
And then I'll talk to you about it. So it would be like an hour later. He's like, and today we did computers. And I'm like, okay, this is like, he was pretty verbal, but I think those little cues, like you said, those little tiny cues and things that we don't understand that are such a big change for them, just giving them a little bit of time when they get home to like, okay, you take your time. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like I get to tell my child, like, mommy's decompressing. Go away.
I need a minute. Yeah. Yeah. I need a snack. I need a hug. I need a good cry. And I'm ready to tell you about my day. Okay.
Amazing. Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, it would come out at night, like before we go in the bath or the shower, he would say, oh, this happened. Or even like in bed, which of course.
Oh, that nighttime.
Like I did this. I'm like, okay, now we go to sleep.
You can get anything out of your kid that they did that day if it's right before bedtime. If it elongates them staying up later, they will talk to you about their whole entire day.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's definitely normal. And kindergarten, again, like a lot of people think it's just play. It's play-based, inquiry-based learning, but it's meaningful and purposeful. So the teacher has a curriculum that they're following, and they're eliciting the children's interest through observing them, and then they're creating the program through a play lens, because we know children learn best through play. It's trial and error, it's socialization. There's so many benefits to play, but it's not just a free for all.
Right. And that's a big change for them to be like, here's a whole bunch of friends and a whole bunch of toys. Choose how you want to play. It's kind of like, we're going to do this, but like you said, in a play fashion. We're going to learn our ABCs, but in a fashionable playtime like type situation.
And there's also explicit instruction. It's not just play. And that's also the biggest thing is kids are not going to discover that the letter A says ah, right? They have to explicitly be taught these concepts to get ready to be able to learn how to read and decode words and learn how to write and learn their numbers, number sense. There's so much that goes on in kindergarten. So the teacher also has learning like a community circle where they teach concepts and the children are learning that. And then they take those elements and put them into play also. And again, in my course, I go through like literally everything to do with kindergarten. But if you have any questions about, really what the classroom looks like or what goes on or anything that you guys are concerned about, I know they just started, but anything.
No, I mean, I've noticed too, and maybe you guys can attest to this with all of our kindergartners being boys, is my son has a really hard time sitting for that long with that type of structure. So I like enjoy when they can get up and play, but I do know when he gets home, I'm like, do you want to read to me? He's like, I don't want to read. I want to be outside, or I want to play my Switch for a little bit. Like he needs to, like you said, decompress. And I'm really noticing that a lot about my energetic boy.
Right. And that's the thing is like, there are differences. There really are, especially at this stage. And I just say to parents, like, don't feel the pressure. The social media is so great because you have all these ideas, but like, we don't have time to do all these things. Like I post these lessons and activities that you can do with your child at home, but it's not required. And it's a lot of work to do. And it's not necessary. Like if your child needs to go, they're in school all day long. They're doing all these things all day long. the last thing you need to work on with them is all these skills. Let them really explore and go outside, get their energy out. And my son's the same way. Like, he can't sit for very long. And luckily the teachers will give different seating, not arrangements, but different seats. Like, they'll have like maybe a little carpet that they can move on, or a little mat that's not fully sturdy. So they're kind of getting that motion. But they're also not sitting for very long, but they do have to be able to sit in order to be part of that learning. But yeah, it's after they get home from school, let them, I don't know if your school sent home homework or whatnot. Our kindergarten is not that. It's just like a borrow book program. You read with your child, send it back to school, but don't feel the pressure to kind of be on them in terms of academics, because they are so busy doing that all day long.
Okay, Melissa, what's your favorite part of being a kindergarten teacher?
Honestly, I did my master's in child development and education. And when I did my master's like 11 years ago, I had all these different placements. I never thought kindergarten would be for me. I just thought like, okay, primary, junior. And I had a placement in the kindergarten class, and I just fell in love. I just fell in love with, that's a good question to ask, but it's just, kindergarten is so flexible for teachers. There's so much you can do, like, creatively to help your children learn. And like, I love making these life-size learning environments where my students, like, if we're learning a specific concept or if they're interested in something specific, we can just create it. So like, we do this wonder walk outside in the beginning of the year, and I give them clipboards and they can color and say what they noticed about the environment. We found this big rotting log. And I said about inquiry-based learning. So like, I wonder what's under this rotting log. And they'd have all their ideas coming out. And then we'd flip over the log, and it was full of like worms and slugs. And I said, where do you think these are all coming from? And they were like so excited about the learning. They just get so excited about the learning. And then we came back to the classroom and we picked out books about rotting logs. I took out the iPad. We have a smart board. I pulled up all these images, and then we created a rotting log in our pretend center. Like, I go to like piano stores or even IKEA, and I get these massive cardboard boxes that they're going to recycle. I bring them back to school, and we create the learning in our
cool. Yeah.
It's just fun. It's so fun.
They're so pure. They're like pure at that age, and they're so
and they're just so like, I'm not going to teach high school and get a kid saying, oh, I love your hair. I like what your hair, or they notice everything. Like, if I wear glasses to school, why are you wearing glasses? Like, they're just,
or they're like, yeah, we know what's under this log, lady. You flip it over. There's probably some worms and some dirt. Come on, this is boring. Yeah. Can we go back inside? Can I get my phone?
Get my phone. Exactly. Listen, there definitely are challenges to kindergarten. There's so many challenges, but end of the day, it's the energy I love about it. And I love the enthusiasm. And I love that you really become like their parent with these little ones. I worked at a hospital for a few years on a secondment with children with disabilities. It was an integrated program. So half my children were typically developing, and the other half had physical and cognitive disabilities. And you just become like so attached to these families and no matter who you're teaching, who you're working with, but you really become their parent. And then you become parent of your own. And you go through this kind of like limbo of, I'm their parent, these children, and I come up to my kids. And it's an interesting, life as teachers, but end of the day, it's like teachers are teaching because they love it. We're not in it for the fame or the money. We're in it for
That's what Jack's teacher for like the meet and greet night, she was like going over everything, and I was like taking notes, like listening, and then she was like, I just want to let you know it's my job to love your child from 8 to 3 while you guys, were there with me. And I was just like I don't know why, like the way she said it, I was like, you can tell that she just she truly loves the kids, truly loves the family and her line of work. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the type of person like yourself. I guarantee you're a Pinterest mom. I can see it all over your face.
Pinterest. No, I'm so extra.
So creative. I love it. I
birthday
love like you.
It's ridiculous. I just can't help myself. I can't help myself. It's like I have issues when it comes to that, but I also love, I just love creating. I love making learning come to life. And I I just love my students. End of the day. Like, I really do. And like you said, like, that's so realistic about what your teacher said, because it's true. Like, these kindergarten teachers are really there for the kids. They are. And just know that, like, as parents, as worried as we are, and if your child has, a meltdown going to school, or they're crying, or you're crying, or whatever the emotions are, just know once the kid goes into the classroom and all their belongings are away, there's a sense of calm. They're not crying the entire time. And if they are having a harder time, you'll get a phone call home for the parents who are kind of going through this right now. But just know that as hard as it is as dropping off, because in Canada, ever since COVID, and at least where I'm from, we don't let parents come into the classroom. We used to let them come in, help their child get their belongings off, come into the room. And then COVID hit and we said, no, we can't have anyone in the school other than the kids. And it was kind of like that was one blessing of what happened. We kind of just continued it. It helps with the responsibility and it's all about independence. Kindergarten's all about independence. And so it helps with the children coming in by themselves. But once they go in, they're okay. And if they're not, you'll get a phone call home. But go back to independence, getting them ready for school. Over however long you have before your child goes to school, have them try to get ready on their own in terms of putting their shoes on, putting their jacket on, putting their belongings in their backpack, putting their backpack on, maybe even playing a game with them, hiding one of their favorite toys in their backpack and saying, I have a surprise in here. Can you find it? Because if your teacher is not using email, just notes back and forth, your child will have to retrieve something out of their bag to give to the teacher at some point. So practice that skill of retrieving things out, giving to the teacher. Do these things, opening up their lunchbox by themselves. If you're home with them for however long before school starts, pack their lunch or their dinner in the lunchbox and give it to them for a meal and say, okay, here you go, and let them do that by themselves. So just practicing those independent skills. And again, they might not be able to, and that's perfectly fine. The teachers are there to help you, to help them, but practice those skills before they go to kindergarten. And the toileting, like, we're back to, square one. They have to be able to wipe their bottoms by themselves.
Yeah.
So,
and like with that too. So I had like two pieces of advice. One of the lunch ladies, her daughter is starting kindergarten with Winston. And she was like, one little tip, if your kid cannot open it out of their lunchbox, like either put it in a bag that they can open so that she was like, well, we're there to help. She's like, but I always encourage parents to like come into the lunchroom and be like, oh my God, all those little fruit cups that are hard to like peel back. Like giving them that. She was like, pain in the butt. That, and then Winston actually brought this up on his own. I had bought him a bunch of shorts that were like buttons. So he had to button them. And he was like, Mom, I can't button my pants. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, you can't wear these 3 pairs of pants yet because you don't know how to button them. So we'll work on it at home. But right now, luckily the school, like, because he has to do uniform. So luckily the school's like, yeah, you can still do the pull-up style shorts while they're in kindergarten, maybe first grade or something too. But like, eventually he'll get to where he can button his shorts. But I was like, God, that would have been I would have felt so bad for you that you're like, I want to be independent and cool in my kindergarten, but my mom put me in these button-up shorts and I can't button my pants.
I had a mother who sent her child with overalls, and the poor girl couldn't take off her overalls by herself. And overalls tomorrow. So yeah, but yeah, things we don't think about, right? Because we're just don't think about.
We're like, we want you to look so cute. Look at how cute these overalls are. And I'm like, Mom, it was embarrassing. I held up the whole class during bathroom break because I can't take off my damn pants.
Right. So speaking of bathroom break, so depending on what school and what teacher, most kindergarten classes have a bathroom in the classroom. So children can go by themselves to use the toilet when they have to and like that. Some classes do not. Like I taught, I think only in all my years, I've only had a classroom one time without a bathroom, and we'd have scheduled bathroom breaks. But otherwise, your child has to be able to say that they have to use the toilet and they go on their own. So that's, something to think about. And then wiping their butt. So biggest thing is practice over however long it is before your child goes to kindergarten, and practice really having them do it independently. So I always say hand over hand first. Help them navigate, their butt crack and go. Because it's hard to, even at that age, to be able to reach out behind you and reach behind.
Yeah.
I have this like little fun activity where I have balloons at the back of a chair, and my son, I put like chocolate there. My son had to like take the chocolate out of behind the balloons or the butt.
Yeah.
Like, really, it's how does he really know? So, and also showing is knowing. We have no privacy as parents as it is. So, like, I'm on the toilet, my son always walks in, just this is what mommy does, and this is what you're gonna do, and just practice that. Again, my course I go over like literally every step by step, but that's the gist of it. Make sure they can reach, grab the toilet paper, fold it, wipe, and keep wiping until there's no more poo on the toilet paper. And as hard as it is as parents to like let them do that on their own, we help them with these skills and then pray for the best that when they go to kindergarten, they can do it. And if they have, skid marks, whatever, it's fine. But at least in Canada, like Toronto, where I'm from, teachers are not permitted to wipe the children's bottoms. We have early childhood educators who are there to help if need be, but that's not their job to be wiping butts all day. So just practice that with your child at home. And you can even have them do it and then you can check after. Like say, okay, you do it by yourself. And then you wipe them that courtesy wipe to make sure that they got it all.
I don't know about you, Steph, but I'm ready to just let B go commando. So I'm excited to pick Jack up from the bus today.
Just do it. You got it.
I got a snack. What do you need, boo?
Yeah.
Hug?
What do you need? A hug? You want to cry? Let's do it. We put Winston's in jujitsu, so I'm like, okay, when we get home, we go to jujitsu, and he's like, and I'm like, too bad because I've seen what you look like. Like when he doesn't, he takes his decompress time, and then he's bouncing off the walls, and I'm like, okay, you can decompress in a classroom, punching and kicking some shit.
Yeah, we all need that. We all need to go.
Yeah. He's like, nobody talks to me there. I'm just gonna roll around and kick some shit, and I'm like, perfect.
For sure.
Okay, Melissa, where can we find you? And then we're going to get a link
yourself
to your
out
too, right? We'll get a link. We'll share it on Sips and Gigs podcast. That way, if you guys want to check it out, you have the ability to do that as well.
Yeah. So the Kindergarten Mom, one word, all lowercase. On Instagram, it's funny. I try to go on TikTok, but I just can't. I don't have it in me. I don't know. You guys,
I have talked about TikTok forever.
I'm telling you, I think your little short snippets would take off like crazy. Like people love to learn TikTok. I found it's either where people are just scrolling and looking at dumb shit, but the little snippets of learning, I feel like you could take off. There is a whole section of moms on there. You just got to start. Just do it. I promise. There's a whole, I didn't think so either. And then I was like, ooh, I'm finding out these small little snippets of things. And it does like it. You just got to do it.
Show us how to properly wipe a butt on a doll and it's going to go viral.
Or like, hey, little tip for potty training that like catches people and then they'll sit there and watch your shit all day long.
I'm learning from you guys. I'm such a newbie when it comes to all this. But anyways, really only Instagram right now, but I'll try to be more active on TikTok. But yeah, the Kindergarten Mom, go to my account and you can find a link to my crash course. You can also find the link to my free potty training chart. And just I'm always open to messages to help parents. It's hard. Parenthood is hard and it takes a village and we're all here to help each other. So I'm definitely here to give tips and tricks and any sort of help I can give out.
And I will be directing all of my followers who have potty training questions to me. I will be directing them to you. So
no, 100%.
Here, go message Melissa.
Yeah, you're the best.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was such a fun conversation to have.
Yes, thank you. And perfect timing. I feel like this was the perfect time of year for this type of conversation. Perfect time of life stage. We're just...
For sure. No, this was like selfishly, I'm like, trust me, we both need it. Our followers need it.
I was like, I really don't care if anybody likes this podcast episode or not. I need it.
I hear you.
No.
Just know it's no matter how hard it is, like we all go through it together and they'll be fine in the end.
Yes.
They can wipe their own ass when they go to college.
Yes.
Trust.
All right,
I have yet to meet a college kid who has not potty trained. So just to know that, everybody, we should be good.
Right.
All right. You guys can follow me at nikki.entenman and follow us at Sips and Gigs.
And me at Better with Chardonnay.
All right. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts so other people can find the show. Come follow Nikki and Steph at Sips and Gigs Podcast on Instagram, where they share tons of behind the scenes to keep you laughing all week long. See you next week.